Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for the Americas Tier 2 division. My name is Stryfium, and this will be my first time getting an opportunity to commentate the Americas division. So I hope you guys are buckled up and ready to go racing because we have Bahrain on the menu this evening. I will be handling the affair this evening solo, so I hope you guys get comfortable. Bahrain, one of my personal favorite circuits. Let's take a look. Of course, we're going to secure 15 turns of intensity, 5.4 kilometers, 3.362 miles, and quite a few straights around here. It is a very power-centered circuit. Now, as we look, of course, this is round 1 of 15. Something, of course, to let you in on is the fact that we have a very shuffled grid. We go through for round 1 in Bahrain, and then we move through to the Netherlands. Following that, we'll go in order: Russia, Belgium, Italy, Japan, Britain, Azerbaijan, Hungary, Singapore, as well as France, Spain, Austria, Mexico for the penultimate round, and then the finale in the iconic Brazilian circuit, of course. And well, who could ask for anything more intense than that? And of course, we'll be visiting some more circuits in Season 6 as well that aren't on this calendar. But with that being said, let's take a look at the teams lining up on the grid today. For Tier 2 at Mercedes, we have Captain Minor and Larkin. Over at Red Bull, it is Vlad Putin and Sidewinder 303. Over at McLaren, we have Disco and Jimsy. For Ferrari, it's Graz and Thrills. Over at AlphaTauri, Polo Q and Paula Brady. Over at Aston Martin, it's Duffeld and Jack 5. And with, of course, the Alpine squad, it's Spanini and Deng Wu. With the Alfa Romeos, it's Dig Surf and Godified Rat. For Williams, it's Henners with Wordad. And over at Haas, it's the Turtle Rave, joined by, well, you know him, Gazieg. So that will be the teams leading into, of course, round 1 here. Let's take a look at the standings chart just as we come through into racing action. That's how we'll have things displayed for you as we get into round 2, once points start getting scored for these grids. One thing to notably talk about here is that we did have one race already, and that was the Tier 4 division, and I'm going to get into that in the qualifying. I'll talk you through what the fastest lap was in the qualifying, as well as who the top 3 were that finished that race, and how things are shaping up for the standings in the Combined Constructors Championship right now for the top 3. And with that, we're just about ready to go. I'm going to get word off to Mr. Gazieg, and we will be racing in qualifying in just a few moments' time. But of course, this is the first time this grid will be racing together here live. It's the Americas Tier 2 division. And if you're just tuning in, my name is Stryfium here from Canada. So tell your friends, the action is about to begin. We're going to have 18 minutes for these drivers to get things sorted out, to get their best lap in, to get themselves the best slot on this grid to try and take their best result in 29 laps here around the Bahrain International Circuit. This is one of my personal favorite tracks. Such unique, of course, straights that lead into the... I find them intricate turns. Of course, turns 1 and 2 can be very difficult to navigate. If you catch it wrong, you can really compromise your flow through that section of turn up through turn 3. Then, of course, you have the long straight into turn 4. We'll go through it in the qualifying, but we're just about ready to go. All of the drivers now readying up. We are here on the hour, and we are on time. Later in the race, we're going to have a driver of the day poll. So stay tuned for that. I'll be putting that together later on for everyone, and we can get a vote in for, well, your favorite driver or the driver of the day by your standards out of the 20 racers that we have going here in Bahrain. Alrighty. Into action now. Bahrain, short qualifying. We do have the dynamic weather enabled. However, it is quite the rarity to get any kind of wet dynamic here in Bahrain. However, I have been party to a wet Abu Dhabi previously. Now all drivers coming into session, getting things set up to go in qualifying, and we'll get a look at who is joining us on the grid. I do believe we have some reserves here today taking up duties. but of course from top to bottom here on the timing tower. We have Gazieg, Henners, Turtle Rave, Dig Surf, Jack 5, Dengwu, Thrills, Larkin, Spanini, Glad, Sidewinder, Captain Miner, Duffeld, Wordad, Paula Brady, Johnny Disco, Graz, Goatified Rat, Jay for Psy, and Jimsy. Jay for Psy making a return to the grid in a reserve capacity today. He drove America's Tier 1 last season, so later dropping out of the grid. I believe he ended up going to race elsewhere at the time, but he is back and he is here on the grid today in Bahrain. It's good to see him back, and we'll take a look at who the first driver is out onto, well, potentially a banker or practice run here. We have the medium compound tires on, and I see Mr. Mikau there in the chat. If you are interested in coming aboard, you're more than welcome. We can get that sorted out. Just a quick moment here. And get Mr. Mikau sorted with an invite really quickly before we get Mr. Goatified Rat on a lap. If anyone's able to get Mr. Mikau an invite, Gazieg perhaps, that would be greatly appreciated. But we will jump into action, as it will be Goatified Rat, the Alfa Romeo, warming the medium compound tires, getting set for a first run. All right, pushing now, Goatified Rat on the medium compound tire. He is going to take us through a lap of the Bahrain International Circuit now, breaking things down to second gear, trying to bring things tight to that inside apex of turn 1. Now through turn 2, up through on the inside curb of turn 3, we push. And the DRS wide open on the rear wing into turn 4, moving through, utilizing that third gear. Up through 4, 5, into 6 now. We come through turns 5 and 6 into turn 7. And this is where things can get tricky. If you utilize too much of the curbs or you carry too much momentum, you can lose the traction. Now we come out of turn 8 through the near invisible turn 9 into the very hard braking downhill left-hander of turn 10. And I'm afraid to say it, but it appears we've had a disqualification as Johnny Disco, dare I say it, has been removed from session for blocking the pit lane. Goatified now, pushing up through turn 11, up into turn 12. Very careful not to utilize any of the inside curbing, because that can very much unsettle the car. Coming out of turn 13, a very nice push through here. Goatified looking good in the Alfa Romeo as he comes into the penultimate and then final turn of turns 14 and 15. Once again, he will have the DRS in utilization or not. That will be a practice run for him, and he will not set that time on the medium compound tires even remotely. Enters now, coming through, and he will set a 25.318. And I do believe we have Mikau now joining, but we're just going to get him into session. Mikau, let me know if you can hear me. There we go. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Mikau to the commentary booth.
Yeah, g'day everybody. Hope you're all having a wonderful evening. And we're getting ready for some America's Tier 2 action. So it should be a really, really amazing affair. Of course, Bahrain always produces something special. So we'll hope for yet another one here tonight.
Gazieg, 7th position at 28.160. Captain Miner on the mediums, a 10th ahead of him, just less than a 10th ahead. And just want to give a massive shout out to the chat. Sydney Tritt with the subscription at tier 1 and 5 gifted subs as well. Thank you so much for the support, everybody in the chat this evening, and thank you, Sydney, for that. Let me know, Mikau, if you have any issues getting into the lobby, and I'll do what I can to get you in. I don't know if you got an invite or not just yet. Jay for Psy.
I'm right here with you, man.
Love to hear it. Fytron now pushing through turn 5 and 6. And he'll navigate his way through turn 7 in the AlphaTauri.
Yeah, some of these cars just look absolutely lovely underneath the lights at Bahrain. Bit sad that we're not going to Albert Park for the season opener, but, you know, it is what it is. Massive lockup there for the AlphaTauri going into the notorious turns 9 and 10, but is able to get a pretty decent exit. Of course, I'm running the medium tyres for this first run, Stryfium, so I don't know if you've talked a whole lot about the tyre strategies yet, but medium tyres an interesting choice, especially considering the delta between that and the softs.
Yeah, medium tire here. A much slower tire, especially in the qualifying, but it is the soft tire, quick to degrade. Drivers wanting to maybe get that first run in on the medium. Been very interesting to see. One thing to note, qualifying pole position from the Tier 4 division earlier today was a 24.928, and that was Polypunk in the Ferrari. He later won that race. Following that, he had Grenade Garan in the Haas and Papa in the other Ferrari following him out on the podium.
So all eyes will be on Frills and Graz to see if the Scuderia can carry that momentum. Jay Fasai there going 9th on the medium tyres at 1 minute 28.092, 2 milliseconds ahead of Captain Minor, who is the slowest of the time setters thus far. Goatified Rat in the Alfa Romeo Stryfium just making his way into the middle sector of the lap, the technical part of the track, going into turn 8 as we speak.
Yeah, he's purple through Sector 1 now into Sector 2, coming up out of turn 8. And one thing to note here, Alfa Romeos are 4th, technically speaking, in the combined, as they have 12 points for that constructor. They are, of course, in 4th position behind the leading Ferraris, 2nd position to Haas at the moment. And the Pirates are holding on to that 3rd slot of the reserves of the league.
Sure, Captain Jack Sparrow will be quite content with that, especially since there is a lot of racing to go in this season. There's only 15 rounds now, but 7 grids, all contributing to that combined Constructors Championship, just to promote some teamwork through the teams, through constructors, because, you know, we hear the real F1 teams always talk about how F1's a team sport, and speaking of, well, you don't need a team sport to see that one, Strip. That is a provisional pole position for the Goatified Rat, a 25.238. Just a few hundredths. Well, I think that's 8 hundredths faster than Henna's in the Williams.
Very nice run there. His teammate on a flyer as well. We'll see if we can get on board with anyone that's a little bit further along. Paula Brady in the other AlphaTauri now pushing to the line. What can she do? Good for 9th on the medium compound tire, Mikau. A very good run as well. It's a 27.236. That's 5/10 near quicker than Turtle Rave, who has been chaining runs now 3 laps on his set of medium compound tires. He is in the Haas. Very interesting to see. Getting some practice runs in potentially over there for the Haas squad. Dangwu to the line now. 11th position for him. A 28.069 for the Alpine. A very solid run out of him.
Yeah, it's at this point in the session, Striff, where the track evolution really starts to take its part. That first sort of 5 to 10 minutes can make, well, the track can be very green or very slippery. Just not a lot of rubber, not a lot of, laid down rubber on the racing line. And it's more pronounced this game compared to years gone by. So it will be incredibly important for all these drivers that they are out on the track at the very end, setting that best lap time when the track is all rubbered in, all nice and grippy, on the freshest, softest compound of tires that they can muster up, and just really push pedal to the metal for that final run.
A lot of times coming through now. Both Alfa Romeos are sat on that front row. Dig Surf came through with a 25 flat, a 0.42. Very, very, very fast coming out of the Alfa Romeos right now. Spanini and the other Alpine, he's pushing through into turn 11. No time yet on the board for him. We'll see what he's able to do. We have a few other drivers without times on out laps and a few other drivers pushing as well. Jack 5 is on that list, but we have Jimsy and Larkin on out laps. And I'm very curious to see how Spanini goes across the line as well.
Well, Jack 5, he's making his way into turn 11 in that Aston Martin. Of course, newly branded from Racing Point last game. And in the last season of Formula One, 104.6, he goes into the final sector. Captain Minor just getting over to the right-hand side. Nice and out of the way. Seems like a pretty good lap so far from the Aston Martin. Avoids that inside curbing, able to get a decent exit out of the final corner. DRS Open, what's the time going to be? It's going to be enough for 6th place, Triffium, just inside the 1-minute 25s.
Very good time from Jack there. Meanwhile, Henners in the Williams managed to come through Mick and split the Alfa Romeo 1-2 for the time being. Go to Fight Rat. He is en route to provide a response, however. He is on an outlap.
It seems the two Alfa Romeo is going to be very, very tough to beat in this division. Very strong so far in qualifying, 1st and 3rd. But also, another driver to keep your eyes on. Well, the two Red Bulls, both Red Bulls inside the top 10 at the moment, as are the two Williams with Werdad second, going up to 4th there with Vlad.
Oh, well, you hit the nail on the head, dare I say it. You mentioned the Red Bulls, and here we have it. Vlad Putin now, he's coming through at 25.020, very, very quick from him. And that is now a provisional pole for the Red Bull squad.
Yeah, qualifying a lot more challenging than it has been in previous games. You know, we saw how close qualifying can be in Bahrain. And yeah, it all it takes is one missed apex on that final run. Of course, just over 6 minutes left in the session right now, so all these drivers will have an opportunity to jump back into the pits and fit on a new set of tires. But it's all about performing under pressure, performing in the clutch, as they sometimes say. And Jimsy, the sole runner for McLaren at the moment, of course, with Johnny Disco being disqualified earlier on in the session, he's hoping to at least get a decent grid slot. We'll see what he does as he comes across the line. Oh, 6th place, pretty good there from the McLaren.
Larkin pushes him back a slot, and there's been a variety of exchanges as Jay Forsai jumped ahead of Sidewinder. That pushed Captain Minor out of that 10th slot at the time, but now you can see he's already been pushed back into 13th as Larkin and Jimsy came across the line. So things really ramping up, as you said. Rubbering in, Turtle Rave, he is on the move. He is in the Haas, and he's pushing out of turn 8 through turn 9, and he'll be coming into the hard-braking downhill left-hander. Very, very technical turn 10. DRS now wide open on the rear as he pushes into turn 11, and this is a very, very fun section of circuit for me. I personally love it. Turn 11, 12, and 13. Very, very fun if you can get it just right here in the 2021 release. Purple here through Sector 2.
Yeah, 1.3 seconds so far. That'll put him in the realm of 9th, 10th round Thrills and Duffield, if I'm saying that correctly. But there we go, Turtle Rave into the final braking zone. Of course, his first few laps on the medium, so he'll gain a little bit in this final sector. It's enough. Well, 10th position by 4 milliseconds between him and the Aston Martin behind him.
A very good time there coming out of Turtle Rave, but a very competitive section of this grid with all of the drivers around him. There isn't much between these drivers all the way through the grid realistically. It's been a very tight split. We saw it in Tier 4 earlier today. We're seeing it again here with this Tier 2 America's division. Gauzieg now, he's pushing, and he is on for a solid improvement, and he's on the rear of a Red Bull. And I do believe that is Sidewinder pushing to the line. Where is he going to land? 8th position for him, and Gauzieg goes 11th. He goes ahead of Turtle Raven. Who'd have thought? Gauzieg doing some work here today in Bahrain.
Yeah, as well, Thrill is just behind those two, starting his, well, what will be his final attempt in qualifying unless he backs out of it. Running the number 23, representing, of course, the one and only Alex Albon in a Ferrari, but it is what it is, you know. Albon, he's driving a Ferrari.
He is.
This
he is.
season. There we go, Thrills trying to carry the momentum. Currently 10th position, his teammate 16th, so the Scuderia, I'm sure yourself included, will like to see those penalty courses a little bit further up the grid. We'll see how Thrills goes as he makes his way into turns 9 and 10.
such a difficult turn, especially if you lock up that left side coming through turn 10.
Now turn 11, you want to make sure that you avoid that exit curbing, can really unsettle the car. Turn 12 now, cars on a knife's edge, just make sure you have enough turn to stay within the limits. Turn 13, want to really attack it and then use that ripple strip on the exit just to try and get the power down as soon as you can. And then one more braking zone to go. Brake just after the 100-meter board, avoid the inside curbing, and then it's all about the exit, making sure you have both of those rear tires on the asphalt. And then DRS wide open, and it's a run to the line. He's only able to improve by 1 spot, up into 9th place.
There's a great improvement on his lap in the session, and your 3/10 improvement. However, as you said, it's a tight grid. It's only 1 spot to get him. Got himself ahead of Jack.
Don't look now, Striff, but I think our top 3 are about to have a final lap shootout. I do believe leading them is Hennes, currently sitting in 3rd place, followed by Dig Surf and Vlad, in that order. So 3rd first, then 2nd, then 1st. Looks like Hennes getting out of the way for, I believe that would be Jimsy, also on an outlap, coming through turn 13. But here's when the track is at its best. It's not really going to improve a whole lot more from how it is now. 1 minute 15 left in the session to determine the starting grid for the opening round of MRL season number 5. And here we go, Jimsy, the first driver to start the final runs as the session clock ticks below 60 seconds.
Well, he's right there with these guys. Another driver we can talk about who's on a flyer. He'll come across to take the checkered. Graz started a while ago, but as you said, all these top drivers right now at these times, they're going to be looking to go sub 125 here. We saw a 124.928 come out of tier 4 today. We'll see if anybody can best that in this tier 2 America's division. A yellow flag just came up through turn 11. Not entirely sure what happened there. I think that might have been Graz, because Thrills is in the pit lane at the moment. So Graz potentially not going to be improving as a result. Jimsy now pushing into turn 11 in the McLaren. We're about to find his improvement in Sector 2, if so. Let's see. What's he got in the tank? Oh, he hasn't improved, Mick. It's narrow.
Yeah, but he's also dead even with his time, and there is a lot of time to be found in those final 2 corners if you messed it up previously. The checkered flag has dropped. Sidewinder, Thrills, Gorzieg and Turtle Rave will not be improving whatsoever. One of the AlphaTauris are going into the pit lane. I believe that is Polar.
Jimsy.
Maybe. Oh no,
lane.
Jimsy's backed out of it as well.
Henner's, he's coming in. He's not got anything for that 125, 128 here.
Here we go. Big Surf. Can he steal it? He tries. He improves by 8 milliseconds, but it isn't quite enough to steal that pole position from Vlad. Vlad going into the pit lane as well.
No improvements here in the top 5 at the moment that are going to shuffle positions. Godified Rat will not be improving. Larkin will not be improving. Paula Brady, I do believe, on an in-lap presently. Jack 5 will not be improving. Graz will not be improving. And I think we might just be at the end of things here. Captain Minor, he's pushing. What does the Mercedes have to say about this grid? A 26.537 jumps it to a 26.257.
A very nice improvement from the Mercedes. Good enough for 15th place, but it seems like everyone in the top 5 just completely bottled their final attempts. Certified Rat will come across the line with an invalid 1 minute 30. But I do believe that is going to be our grid for the opening round here in Sakhir. It's a Red Bull on pole.
Well, congratulations to Vlad on pole position, a 25.020 for him. And what a lap.
So the top 2 separated by 14 milliseconds. And is quite a close gap, if I do say so myself. It's less than a frame. Because if you're running at 60 frames a second, it's about a frame actually, if my quick maths is at all accurate. I'm no stranger to close gaps here in Bahrain. I know if combined YouTubers in the chat, he'll back me up on that one. But there we go, Bahrain. It isn't always done in qualifying because DRS and slipstream are extremely powerful, about 8/10 a lap, Striff. But I want you to run us through this grid, and I see a nice Canadian flag at the top of the timing sheets.
Vlad, well, I'm a Canadian. He's a Canadian. What can I say? I'm happy to see him up there for Red Bull. A 25.020 here to kick things off for the Tier 2 Americas division. Of course, round 1, the Bahrain Grand Prix. Very nice run from him. Dig Surf is up there in second position for Alfa Romeo. Very tight margin between him and Vlad on this front row. A very, very scary margin at that. And Henner's the Englishman and the Williams, of course, a 25.128. Excuse me. He is right there with them. Godified, Rat, Wordad. Things are very, very intense in this grid lineup. And, well, I want to see how things go in the run to turn 1. I want to see if we have safety cars. We did get one safety car earlier in the Tier 4 division action. And we saw both Red Bulls out of contention in that race. Hopefully, Vlad has something to say about it for the sake of the combined constructors after that performance. And, well, we're just getting all of these drivers ready, set, and dialed in for 29 laps around this Bahrain International Circuit. My name is Striffium here again from Canada. Joining me in the nick of time, my good friend, well, Mikkel from the land down under in Australia. Greatly appreciate having you here with me this evening, or well, in your case, this morning.
Yeah, we got about 35 minutes left of morning here in Sydney. So nice, sort of brunch time-ish, if you want to call it that. But here we go, the formation lap. Just starting off, Vlad will lead them away. Of course, Red Bull looking to make amends after the disappointing end to their campaign of the combined constructors last season. Of course, losing out to Mercedes, who's on a precursor of things to come in the real-life Formula One Championship, depending on which way you sway in that amazing title fight. But as I'm just getting things set up on my end, Striffium, I'm seeing quite a few medium compound tires in that back 10, Jack 5 and 12 for Aston Martin, and then all the way from Gorzieg down to Johnny Disco, that is 14th to 20th on the medium compound tires. But why don't you just take us through how the drivers will be lining up one final time as Vlad in that Red Bull leads them into turn 9 and 10.
And Mick, we have Vlad in pole position here for Bahrain, round 1 of Tier 2 Americas, and Dig Surf will be lining up on the front row next to him in the Alfa Romeo. We have Henners, Godified Rat, Wordad, Larkin, Jimsy, Sidewinder, Duffeld, and Thrills rounding out the top 10. All drivers on the softs. Now, one thing notably here, we have 8 medium runners on this grid at race start in this back field. We have 2 drivers who opted for the soft compound tires who qualified outside this back, or this top 10, and that was Paula and Graz. They've both opted for these soft compound tires. Very interesting strategy choice there, but of course it's Paula, Jack 5, Graz, Gazieg, Captain Minor through the top 15, and then we have Turtle Rave Spanini, Jay Forsai, Dangwu, and Johnny Disco, who unfortunately had that issue in qualifying. See him disqualified, blocking the pit lane. Well, formation lap has come to a close as these drivers in front bring themselves into their grid positions, Mick, and we are going to be locked and loaded here in just a few moments as Johnny gets himself through 14 and 15 to the grid, and we'll be lights out here in Bahrain in just a few moments.
It looks like it's going to be a duel between the Williams cars and the Alfa Romeos, but there's a Red Bull that'll be leading the way into turn 1. I'll let you have the honors as Johnny Disco just rolling up to his grid slot, 29 laps ahead to start America's Tier 2.
Well, Vlad, Dig, Surf, Henner is your top 3 here, and it is going to be 3, 4, 5 red lights here in Bahrain. It's lights out It's gone dark, and Henners is off the line looking at Dig Surf, but he hasn't had the best launch. The Alfa Romeos are looking to do work here, and look at Gotified Rat. He's already looking at Dig Surf. Things very tight as we come through turn 1 in Bahrain. Doesn't look like there's too much going on in the front of things. We jump back to Jack 5. Everything wheel to wheel behind him and in front of him. He's looking at the Mercedes of Captain Minor. Dig Surf and Henners now having an exchange as Dig Surf is dropped to the Williams. Henners into second now. Back to the midfield, Graz and Larkin. Graz has had an issue coming off of turn 4. His teammate Thrills is right in his rearview mirror. And now Jack 5 and Paula are having an exchange. And who's this?
Henners. Henners is off.
Oh no, what's happened to the Williams?
Yeah, it looks like just from the map, he lost the car at the exit of turn 7, just going on that exit curbing. That can be very, very unforgiving. Meanwhile, Paula making a move on Jack. She's now up into 12th place, losing 1 grid slot. That's big winners so far, Striffium. Graz and Captain Minor both up 4 positions apiece.
Yeah, Graz right now hunting Larkin. He's not done on these position gains just yet. Larkin on the rear of Sidewinder. We look at the tires right now. It's all softs in the top 10. Paula in 12th position, not really giving Captain Minor any breathing space. Things are just about 3/10 between the pair, and of course we don't have DRS just yet, but these mediums are not going to be a very fast tire for Captain Minor just yet. Vlad at 29.991, the fastest lap of the campaign so far. Captain Minor pushing off to that inside, looking to break a slipstream, gradual return to line, trying to hold off Paula. Just ahead of them, there's an exchange in turn 2. That's Sidewinder and Duffeld. Paula Brady with a beautiful lunge into turn 1, wheel to wheel with Captain Minor. Sidewinder on the rear of Duffeld. We look at Captain Minor and Paula. Paula has taken that position for 11th. A little bit of a desync potentially here, and we've had a driver drop to the bottom of the timing tower as it plays its tricks.
I do believe it's Gauzier causing the timing issues at the moment. There we go. So as you see, things now are accurate. 1.7 seconds already for Vlad. That is a great start for the Red Bull. You want to be breaking that DRS if possible, because like I was saying at the end of qualifying, it's worth about 8/10 a lap. So it's going to be crucial, especially for the likes of a Duffield. Now in that Aston Martin, he's able to stay within that 1 second now, just dancing on the cusp of that crucial 1 second gap to Word out in front.
Dangwoo on the rear of Johnny Disco right now. A lot of exchanging in the rear of this field as everyone has their positions shaken on this timing tower. Gotified Rat in 3rd position. Jimsy not letting go. What's happened with Spanini? That's a huge crash. 3 cars, 4 cars nearly involved. A 5-second penalty being awarded with Johnny Disco, and Spanini has taken that. I'm not entirely sure. Actually, he's taken 10 as well on top of it. He's got 15 seconds inside of 2 turns, and that is not good news for the Alpine driver, even remotely. Johnny Disco is on his way in on the rear of Dengwu. And I haven't got a clue what just unfolded there. Dangwoo taking 5 on the way in.
Yeah, it looks like one of the Alpines. Looks like one of the Alpines. I can't exactly remember who it was. I think it was Spanini leading them away. Just lost the rear coming into turn 13. Just asked a bit too much of the rear tires. And then just rolled right back onto the racing line in front of his teammate and Johnny Disco in the McLaren. So not happy there at Alpine at the moment. But someone who will be happy is Vlad. He's able to still pull away at least another 10th from the 2 Alfa Romeos charging behind him. But it's going to be quite a interesting race between those guys. And it looks like Jay has lost it at turn 8 as well, Striffium.
Yeah, not good for Jay, reserving in that Alpha Tower right now. Meanwhile, Paula into 10th position in her Alpha Tower up ahead of Graz. Got to watch that, and well, been a very thrilling 3 laps of contention so far. No drivers out of contention just yet, knock wood, but Vlad off to a good lead right now in that Red Bull. 1.5 seconds away from the rest of this train, and that's exactly what it is. We have a snake flowing through this grid right now. Pit stops will come eventually and really start to shake things up, but meanwhile, it's Sidewinder 303 on the rear of Duffeld, looking for a way through. Both drivers with DRS, of course, in this train, and you really need to pick your opportunities carefully, because if you pick the wrong opportunity, someone behind you is going to take one.
Leader! Vlad's lost it at turn 3!
Oh no, that's not good if you're a Red Bull fan even remotely. Sidewinder, however, pushing through into 6th, but Vlad has dropped a massive amount of positions, and Now we have a major 10-second penalty being awarded to him as well for his rejoin.
Turtle Rave as well having issues at turn 3. I don't know if there's any damage on that Red Bull front wing, but it looks like he might have something. Yes, he does have something. He's missing the entire thing, Strophium, so that is going to be a very early pit stop for Red Bull after it was looking so good, so promising after those first few laps, but that's all it's going to come down to this race. I feel like it's going to be minimizing mistakes now. Digsurf leads an Alfa Romeo 1-2, but all top 4 of these top 4 drivers right now, all the way down to Wordad in this DRS train. So Digsurf, he's going to have a tough task on his hands trying to maintain the lead. He's going to have to work together with his teammate in order to make sure that Jimsy doesn't get any higher up this pecking order.
Well, it's very early in this race right now, and we have yellow flags coming up just outside of 13 here. Who's this now? That is Larkin.
Larkin.
So, drivers starting to struggle already here. It's very early in this campaign.
Turtle Rave as well having an issue at 13. Now, just keeping an eye on this train in front, actually. Paula getting very close to the back of Thrills. Thrills just outside of DRS range at the moment, so he's going to really be feeling it going into this braking zone. Turn 4. But not quite close enough is the AlphaTauri to the back of that Ferrari in order to make a move. But Wordad really starting to put on the pressure on Jimsy for that final podium place, Strip.
Well, that's what you like to see, is pressure at the front. Everyone's in close proximity. If any of these drivers in front, well, we already saw it with Vlad. If you make a mistake, you are going to plummet through this grid. Things are very tight. Things are very tense, and they are pressurized all the way throughout this train. Albeit there's a bit of a gap from 5th to, of course, 4th with Sidewinder, that 1.5. He has a massive train behind him into 10th. Danglu now, Henners, bit of wheel-to-wheel action here as Henners pushes through on some, well, medium compound tires. Henners, 23 seconds in 14th position off the rear of Larkin. So he's got a little bit of a mountain to climb there, but all the drivers in front of him yet to pit.
We'll be hoping for a safety car or something to get him back into this race. Of course, we know Hennes, he has quite a bit of pace underneath that helmet. And it looks like at the front of things, the 2 Alfa Romeos just doing what they need to do in order to maintain that 1-2 at the moment. Godified Rat gains significantly on his teammate, about 0.4 of a second down that main straight, but it isn't quite enough for Jimsy to really have a go. And then we have a little break back to Sidewinder in the second Red Bull car. Of course, trying to salvage some points from when Vlad lost it at turn 3, Striff.
There goes Danglu and Henners having a bit of a duel here. Danglu on the soft compound tires, and the Alpine will push ahead of Henners with ease.
Oh,
Commentator's
no. Curse. Sidewinder's lost it at turn 8. He's coming over the hill now. I don't see any physical damage on that Red Bull car, but some very hot soft tires are going to be on that Red Bull. So we'll have to be very careful to make sure that he doesn't lose it again, especially as he goes into the high-speed section of turns 11 through to 13.
Very unfortunate for him. As you said, bit of a commentator's curse there. Duffeld, Thrills, Paula in close proximity. Duffeld looking like he might be a little bit of a cork in the bottle, if you will, and Thrills, he's looking very, very tight at this Aston Martin.
And here we go. It's going to be an easy move for Thrills, and you see the power of that DRS. He's using some overtake as well to make sure he gets it done. Paula now going to try and follow the Ferrari through. Duffield later on the brakes into turn number 1. Of course, both of these drivers will have DRS. The Ferrari will not. But it looks like Paula just has to back out of that one. You have a yellow flag at turn 10. But meanwhile, Graz trying to make his way past Paula. Paula defends to the inside for turn number 4. But it isn't quite enough for Graz to find a way around the outside. So Paula in 7th.
A little bit
Graz
of action
in
right
8th.
here.
Sidewinder up into 10th.
Yeah, well, he's fighting off Jack 5 right now on these medium compound tires. And what battling we're seeing on the 7th lap here. You'd really like to see it between Paula, Duffeld, Graz, everybody in that fight. Of course, Thrills now leading that charge in the Ferrari, 3.3 in the rear of Wardad, and there's a fight for that first place and podium positions as well. But now we have Sidewinder on these soft compound tires holding up Jack 5 a bit. It's at that point where you're going to see a crossover between these softs and mediums, 100%. And we'll have to see what, of course, Jack 5 can do about what I think are the slower soft compound tires right now.
Yeah, it's also getting into that stage where the drivers are going to have to be careful, particularly with that turn 12, because as those rears wear in particular, they have a tendency to just snap out on you, and you can't really feel it until it's too late. We'll see how things go. Thrills getting a decent exit, but we'll just see. Just look at the overspeed from the Aston Martin. He's gaining, but he isn't quite gaining enough. Looks to the outside of turn 1. Paula tries to stick her nose in there. Unsettles the Aston Martin a fair bit. It's going to be quite an easy move now for the Alpha Tauri. Up the inside into turn 4. There she goes. And clean as you like, just squeezes out the Aston Martin. And now Graz tries to find a way past, but it can't. Into turns 5, 6, and 7.
That was a very, very tight move there by Paula, trying to maximize an opportunity on the Aston Martin. And of course, pushing out of turn 3, eventually getting that move done. Now Duffeld in 7th position. In the rear view has Graz quite tight. We have an issue now through turn 12 and 13. I think that's Deng Wu. No, excuse me. That's his teammate, Spanini. Deng Wu, however, is engaged with Henners once again. They've been doing the dance for the past few laps.
There we go, Turtle Rave, the pit and quit. Calls it there. 8 laps into the session. He will be the first retirement of America's Tier 2 for season number 5. I've been having a look at this battle for the front, Strifium, and Dig Surf is really using a lot of that battery and has underfueled the car, no less, but still isn't quite able to stay in front comfortably of Goatified Rat. Goatified Rat, his teammate, has 86% battery. Dig Surf, after that turn 1 break zone, only has 30% at the moment, and it can be quite difficult to regain ERS around the Bahrain International Circuit, so might be an idea to try and engineer a swap so that Dig Surf is able to just save some battery in the DRS of his teammate.
Well, it's definitely a possibility. One thing to note here is they're getting pretty extended on these softs, and I wonder if they're thinking about a soft medium strategy here. One thing to talk about is our first 2 drivers to pit off the softs in regular pit window. Of course, Thrills and Duffeld, they went onto the hard compound tires here, which is something very interesting. We saw Larkin come in, he's on hards. We have a few drivers that went on to different tires, as well as we have Sidewinder, he's on fresh mediums. Things are going to be very, very interesting for these drivers in the Alfa Romeos now, with Jimsy hunting them down and Wordad not too far. And I have to say, Paula, what a job she's been doing for some time now. 4 seconds on the rear of Wordad, 2.5 the separation between Graz once she got through.
Yeah, she is really pushing on that Alpha Tauri. I think you have to pick Dig Surf this lap, because Goatified Rat has that DRS as well as that ERS, and there we go. Yes, it is Dig Surf who gets pit priority down at Alfa Romeo, and it looks like Jimsy will be following through, as will Paula behind them, and she's a bit too late on the brakes, picks up 5 seconds. That's the last thing that she'll be wanting. We'll see how things go on the pit stops. Where Jimsy is going to get a bit held up just a little bit from the Alpha Tauri. Dig Surf gets ahead of Jimsy in the pit lane. Gauzier will get past those two, but now it's going to be all eyes on this in-lap from Goatified Rat and Wordad. The undercut can be quite powerful depending on how things go on your outlap. It looks like they won't have DRS either to help them out, so it's going to be quite close actually between these two, but I think that the undercut will still be enough.
Paula still on the rear now of a Ferrari as Thrills. Well, looks like Thrills getting ahead of Paula here on the, I believe it was the undercut from Thrills, and half a second on Paula.
Yeah, it's at this stage the softs are really, really done, but it takes a little bit for the hards to really get up to temperature. just with the nature of the track. There isn't a whole lot of those high-speed corners. You have that section between turns 5 and 7, and then, of course, turns 11 to 13. But Gertified Ride and Wordad surely going to be coming in, which means Captain Minor on those medium compound tires going to be in the race lead.
Here goes Henners now, a supercharged move on Dangwoo, and we've seen them do the dance lap after lap, and it's just a nice move for Henners there on the inside of turn 11. Dangwoo on the soft compound tires. Well, there isn't going to be too much more battling he can do on these tires. Man, did he ever get a lot of speed coming through turn 12 pushing. He got so unsettled. Not only did he drop off of Henners, but he lost a position to Vlad as well. And that could have been very, very bad for him. Oh, man, Dangwoo. Don't do that again, please.
Yeah, I've just been looking at this battle for the net lead at the moment, and Jimsy, he tried the undercut, but it wasn't quite enough. Interesting to know as well is that Gertified Rad and Wordad have both come out on medium compound tires, as has Graz in 11th. Now, end of lap 10, start of lap 11 is the absolute earliest that you can get on those mediums and have a thought about making it to the end of the race. Is doable, but those tires are going to really be feeling it for the last 5 laps or so. So we'll see how things go. The hards are a very durable tire. They should have no issues making it to the end. And if anything, Striff, they'll be getting faster as the race goes on and that fuel burns off.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. They are going to be getting quicker. You're burning fuel. One thing notably, not as much fuel control. And when I say as much, I mean next to none in this release versus the last one.
And that might be a problem for Dixo because he's still under fuel the car, probably anticipating that there would be a full safety car at some point that he would allow you to use some of that lean mix and really save some fuel, because it's really a gamble this game. It's not really about managing the mixtures, because of course you can't change the mixtures, just like in real Formula 1 this season. You only have to lift and coast into those harder braking zones if you want to save some fuel. But that costs you a lot of time as well. It's something like 4 or 5 minutes.
Looking at Duffeld right now. Duffeld holding well on the inside of turn 1. Graz on these mediums looking to push hard. And DRS will be in utilization for both drivers as we come into turn 4. But who has the better exit? And right now, Duffeld looking to hold well.
Yeah, it looks like the Ferrari of Graz just struggling a little bit with that ERS counter. I'm just having a quick look at Henners. He has DRS on Vlad. Vlad trying to recover anything that he can after his earlier mistake. I believe that was on lap 4 that he had that spin at turn 3. Gertified Rat did do the switch with his teammate, and now is trying to get past Gorziek. Shouldn't be too much of an issue. Using that DRS and some ERS as well to get past the Haas car. What's going to be tough for him is, well, it's going to be for his teammate, actually, Digsurf. He's going to try and have to stay in that DRS range as long as he can while saving some fuel, because, I don't know, safety car we haven't even gotten a virtual safety car yet, despite all that has happened thus far. And there's an angry train of cars right behind him in the form of Jimsy and Wordad, ready to pounce at any opportunity that they get, well, that comes their way. And there we go, they both get past with ease. Jimsy using the DRS, Wordad later on the brakes using the fresh mediums on that Williams car, able to make it past the Haas. But crucially, Jimsy 1.2 seconds now the gap between himself and Digsurf, so all of that kerfuffle with Gorziek has meant that he's lost DRS. And with Digsurf just pulling away with his teammate, this is the opportunity that the Alfa Romeos have to really run away and seal this race, barring a safety car. Yeah, as is Jack, so Goatified Rat is in the net lead of things, and it looks like Alfa Romeo might be listening into the cast as well. They've now pulled a gap to Word out. Now 1.7 seconds is the gap, so it looks like those front two just trying to control the race, build up a little bit of a gap before they can really fight it out amongst themselves for who will take that top spot.
Graz, Duffeld now. I think we might see an exchange here. DRS for both. Graz says it doesn't matter. He has a good exit, but he's low on the battery. Duffeld might have an opportunity to push him back.
Look at the Red Bull.
Oh, wow. Sidewinder says, excuse me, Aston Martin. I'd like to squeeze on through. And that's a very nice opportunistic move for Sidewinder here. Duffeld looking for a switch back into 8, but nothing doing.
A little bit of a love tap from the Aston Martin. Maybe a little bit salty that aren't sponsoring that Red Bull anymore, but it looks like these guys have all just held up with the train for what is 8th place on the track at the moment, a net 6th after Captain Miner and Jack make their pit stops. They might actually be trying to do a medium soft at this stage. I don't see them going onto the hards at this stage, but we'll have to wait and see what those two drivers decide to do. But it looks like Goatified Rat right on the back of this Aston Martin, and he's going to have an easy move. Is it going to be before a safety car for Henners? No? No, it looks like Stewart. I think it's good enough.
Push through into second position, of course. Goatified Rat on the fresh tires. Jack 5, he's on that starting compound medium. Paula now. What's happened here? Both Ferraris, they're engaged, and Sidewinders here as well. A bit of a snap coming out of the Red Bull up through turn 3. Graz looking on the rear of his teammate is going to shoot up the inside of Thrills. And this is very important that these drivers don't fight too much here, as Paula and Sidewinder aren't far behind. Duffeld's there also.
And meanwhile, Dixup's getting held up behind Jack 5. The gap now between himself and his teammate is up to about 1.7 seconds. And Dixup just couldn't find the speed and the space to really make it past the Aston Martin. Now he tries the inside of turn 11, a little bit earlier on the brakes than Jack, but it looks like he's able to make that move past, and it's cost him, though, 1.8 seconds. So I don't know if his teammate's going to slow down just to make sure that they get the gap that they need. But that gap to Wordad and Jimsy behind has stayed consistent. So that's at least some good news for Dig Surf and then Alfa Romeo.
Definitely some good news for Dig Surf, and at the very least, if team orders come through, he could drop the anchor, as I say, for Wordad and try to just play defensive, because here goes Jack. That separation of the Aston Martin is no longer in play. However, there is a good gap between Wordad and Dig Surf of 2 seconds here. Wordad heavily exposed to Jimsy right now.
Man, meanwhile, Sidewinder and looks like Duffel having a drag race into turn 1. The Red Bull later on the brakes. Sidewinder has that inside line, clobbers that inside curb a little bit. Was going to try for a switchback move, try and find better traction out of the tricky traction zone of turns 2 and 3. And he's found it, Striff, on those medium tires compared to the hards. But just earlier on the brakes once again. But does he have the grip in those mediums? Yes, he does. The Red Bull now back up into the points.
Very nicely done for Sidewinder there, and the Red Bull fans are going to cheer in excitement as they have a car back into the points here. Vlad, 6.2 seconds on the rear of Duffeld right now. He's on these hards. He's showing good pace in that Red Bull as well. However, he does have a significant penalty on board with that Red Bull. 10 seconds. So, a lot of work being done in that car. See how far he can get by the end of things.
I mean, he's got the pace for it. I mean, you don't get pole position for nothing. So we'll see what he's able to do on those 10-lap old hard compound tires. Meanwhile, his teammate, he's eyeing up his next victim, and it's the sister team of AlphaTauri. Paula just trying her best to stay on the back of the 2 Ferraris. We'll see if Sidewinder has enough speed and enough grip in those medium tires in order to mount a challenge going to turn 1. And it looks like he might actually, with the DRS, ERS, some slipstream as well. It's a drag race now between those two. Paula using some ERS herself to try and stay in front. And yes, she will, going into turn 1.
Very, very good hold there from Paula. Captain Miner drops a position through turn 4 to Goatified Rat now. Back in lead of things for Alfa Romeo. Big Surf 1.6 on the rear, and I think Captain Miner was really starting to feel the degradation of these medium compound tires. 16, near 17 laps he has driven on these tires, and I imagine we'll see him come in for a set of softs potentially if he extends these any longer. Enters a 28.083, fastest lap of the campaign now, as he's done so on the mediums. And again, in a fight, in a battle, Hanners and Dengwu all race long have been exchanging the Alpine and the Williams. And you just love to see some clean fighting there.
It doesn't matter whether it's for first or last, you'll often find some great racing all the way through the grids here at the Misfits Racing League. And Wordad on those mediums now, trying to find a way past this McLaren for what is a net third position as Captain Miner finally goes into the pits. And I suspect that he'll be putting on a set of soft compound tires to try and make it the 12 laps to the end.
Wordad looking potentially to that inside. Jimsy gets defensive. Wordad maybe wanting that outside, but nothing doing here as Gazieg and Graz now, they are having a battle. Graz into 5th position. Gazieg, he's another driver who's on his starting tires. He's actually the only driver left on this grid who is still on his starting tires. And I have to say, if there were a safety car of any capacity right now, he'd be in a very good position. Thrills on the rear. Look at the speed coming out of turn 4 right now. He needs to clear through Gazieg very quickly here because he can't wait too long. Oh, man, that might expose him to Paula. Paula is right here, and no mistakes can be made. Look at this. Sidewinder in the equation is going to hold up Thrills. Paula, a very nice move here, getting around the outside of turn 10. Does it stick? Yes, it does. Very nice.
There we go, and Duffel's right there with him as well. Thrills can't rest easy. He needed to just focus on that exit through turn 7 to make a move on the Haas into turn 8, but just carried too much speed at the start of it, had to back out of the throttle, and now he's paid a very hefty price for that mistake.
Yeah, it's a very, very large mistake there. And Sidewinder right now in the rear of Gazieg. Gazieg on those starting mediums is holding up a very large train, and a very large train that wants points. And I believe he's going to come in here and maybe provide them an additional position to play for. And yes, he's on the way in. Sidewinder pushing with everything he's got to escape from Paula right now. And Thrills, he is not as close as he'd like to be to this fight.
Yes, I mean, the Ferrari still within that 1 second, at least for now. We'll see how he goes on this exit. Yep, still got that DRS, so he isn't totally out of the fight. But now Sidewinder trying to chase down Graz. But no, there's no more tire advantage for the Red Bull now.
What a race we're seeing here unfold in lap 19 out of 29. And we're not far off from getting our driver of the day poll going, so get ready. There will be a link in the chat soon, and you'll be able to vote for your favorite driver in the race today.
Now, if Captain Miner is able to make these softs last to the end of the race, he'll be a whole lot faster than those around him. And we might even have a safety car. No, it looks like Dengwu just recovering at turn 3. No safety cars, though, as of yet. I'm a bit worried now for Dig Surf because we only have 11 laps remaining in this race. Now 10, as Godify Rat starts lap 20 of 29. And Dig Surf has had that fuel light indicator on basically this entire race drift. So he's going to have to do some lifting and posting if he wants to secure this one, too.
Most definitely. Most definitely. Look at this Wordad Jimsy having a nice exchange through turn 1 here. Jimsy really wanting to hold Wordad, and I think Wordad had an issue. I think he had a bit of an issue. Look at this DRS on the rear now for Jimsy. Pushing with the battery just ever so slightly on the inside now. Back through. Where's Wordad on these mediums? He's right on the rears. What a lovely exchange.
Spooked him into turn 6. But Jimsy's still ahead for the time being. Captain Miner, though, he's closed up basically 2 seconds to Vlad in the last lap. Look at this drift.
Miner. Looking for points, Captain Miner. Very, very good here for him to come in late. It could pay off well. Gaziag on a similar strategy, not doing as much moving as he is.
It should be a relatively easy pass for the Mercedes going into turn 1. But Sidewinder has caught up to the Ferrari of Graz. So the Red Bull showing that it does have some speed left in that Honda power unit. Paula, though, she is struggling to stay in DRS range, but Thrills has fallen out of it. So this could be what the AlphaTauri needs in order to just pull away from that Ferrari and try and solidify any kind of position, of course, with that time penalty that she is carrying.
Wordad and Jimsy ever so close through turn 1. Graz now Sidewinder 5th for the Ferrari. Sidewinder 12 lap old mediums. He can't hold on to Graz too much, and he can't expose himself too much. He's got Brady. I was going to say Brady. He's got Paula Brady there sitting in that AlphaTauri, not giving him much room to breathe. Penalty or no penalty, it's about what happens on track here, and you can't just let a driver ahead of you if they have a penalty or not. It doesn't work like that.
Yes, I think we have one of the final pit stops this race. Jay assigned to the pits for a fresh set of softs. I do expect that Johnny Disco will be heading into the pits fairly shortly as well on those 17-lap-old hards. But yeah, the things are really starting to heat up for this 5th place at the moment, Striff.
You love to see it. You love to see these battles all throughout the grid, and there really is a ton of battling throughout the grid right now. You've got Godified, Rat, Deeg, Surf, and they're kind of comfortable where they are. Jimsy and Wordad, though, they're having a bit of a grudge match for that final points position. Wordad and him have been doing the dance, and we have Sidewinder and Graz. They're in close proximity as well here, and as we say it, DRS in utilization for the Red Bull. Graz, no rear wing open for him, and Sidewinder is just going to breeze by.
Now, does the Red Bull have the pace advantage over that Ferrari? Because it's at this stage of the race, Striff, where you really need to be thinking about, okay, do I want to just stay behind and utilize the DRS on the final lap to slingshot past? Or do I feel like I have the pace left in the car, in the tires, in order to maintain that gap? Because 8/10 a lap is a lot of time per lap. And that is how much the DRS system is worth around Sakia.
Yeah, it is really worth a ton around here. Feld on the rear of Thrills, holding with what he can here. Quite a good battery reserve for the Aston Martin in comparison. About 20% differential between these two. Come down to a very, very important fight in the end.
We'll have a quick look at the ERS levels for that final podium place. They're both sitting at about even, around that 40% mark. But it's going to be also a question of the tire compounds, whether those mediums are going to be able to last and have enough grip to fight with the hard runners at the end of this race. But here we go, Wordad has the DRS, and just look at the overspeed, not even without ERS.
Yeah, not a lot that can be done with that DRS and utilization.
Jimsy, though, sets up the cutback, gets the better exit out of turns 1 through 3. Once again, Wordad goes defensive to the inside. And it looks like the Williams might be able to hold on this occasion. No, look at the grip of the hards around the outside of turn 4, Striff. Wow.
That's very, very good grip on the hards right now for the McLaren. Really giving himself a lot of ability to fight Graz and Sidewinder right now. They are very tight coming through Sector 1 into Sector 2, and Paula Brady there on the rear. A slight tap.
Tapped the Ferrari.
She's tapped the Ferrari. Graz has gone around. She's going to go through. Graz has actually got himself recovered here. They are both exposed now to Duffeld. Duffeld in a very, very good position now. 13-lap-old hards. Paula ahead of him with the penalty. DRS is in utilization for both Paula and Duffeld on the rear of Graz. Thrills is here, as is Vlad. And Vlad could potentially get himself into the points-paying positions as well.
Yep, just one mistake is all it takes to really just derail your entire campaign. They were comfortably pulling away from Duffield and Captain Minor and alike behind them. We'll see how we go. Vlad actually making a very early move on the Ferrari. Going into turn 14 and 15. It might have been a bit too early, though, because the Ferrari's gotten DRS.
Dad and Jimsy having another exchange, and now Vlad. Look at this. Look at this drag race between Vlad and Thrills. It's so tight, Mikau, and there's tight battles all over this grid just ahead. Graz having an exchange with Paula. Paula into 6th position. Duffeld's there. What's happened with Duffeld? Duffeld's into the wall. Duffeld has crashed into the wall. The entirety of that wing is off, and there is a reset to track if I've ever seen one there in turn 2.
Yeah, Johnny Disco are going to have to be careful of that Aston Martin. The stewards will not be happy with that reset to track. Definitely gained an advantage there, but that is Aston Martin's hopes of points basically out the window unless Vlad's penalty remains. Maybe they could steal a 10th place, but now it's Paula Brady leading this train for now. It is 6th place. Sidewinder well and truly clear, solidifying that 5th place finish. Lap 24 of 29 here in Bahrain, ladies and gentlemen. Leave your predictions in the chat. Who is going to be on that podium? Is it going to be Jimsy in 3rd? Is it going to be Worden in 4th? Who is going to be your bet for this 6th place as well? Because Captain Miner has quite a bit of life. And Sosby's got the 3-second time penalty. No.
Yeah, that is really not what you want to be doing late race here. However, he does have a very good set of rubber attached to this Mercedes. Of course, driver of the day poll is live. The link is in the chat, and if you feel like sharing it around, that'd be greatly appreciated as we head into the action. Oh, he's
Look at the speed of the Mercedes.
Oh, what a move here in Paula. She's lost a position to Captain Miner there. Captain Miner going a little bit deep. Paula holding 7th now. Captain Miner taking 2 inside of a turn, and that was a very, very nice move.
Vlad looking at the outside of turn 4. We've seen that there can be quite a bit of grip out there, a little bit further behind. He finds the grip in the hards around the outside line. He's going to go side by side with the Ferrari into turn 6. And he gets the move done. Not bad for 19-lap-old hearts. Not bad at all.
Not bad at all. What a race this has been. What a debut race for the Tier 2 Americas division tonight for Bahrain. I can't wait to see what the grids tomorrow bring us for Tier 3 and America's Tier 1 as well.
It's not over yet, Striff.
Oh, no.
It's not over until that checkered flag drops. Go to fight Rat, trying to preserve some tires. I'm still worried about this fuel for Dig Surf. So we have a yellow flag. That's the other Mercedes of Larkin having an issue at turn 10. Of course, no safety car, no virtual safety car even. We haven't had anything this race, Striff.
No, not a single safety car deployment, virtual or otherwise here. And here goes Wordad and Jimsy once again. A drag race into turn 1, DRS and utilization, and they have just been pulling each other along ever so carefully. 7 seconds is the separation between these two and 5th, and it's quite the separation between them and 2nd as well. These Alfa Romeos looking like they are in a class of their own this evening.
We just need to make sure that they both make it to the end of the race, because Dick Surf still struggling on fuel. That fuel light hasn't gone off basically this entire race, and it looks like there's going to be absolutely no safety car or virtual safety car to help that Alfa Romeo. So those 6.6 seconds, quite the gap to try and save some fuel, but is it going to be enough? We'll have to wait and see. Meanwhile, the two Ferraris getting very close at the bottom of the points scoring positions. With those guys 9th and 10th. Hopefully they'll have both of those cars finished. We don't want a repeat of Brazil between Sebastian Vettel and Charles Leclerc. Sorry to remind you of that, Striff.
Yeah, thanks for that. Greatly appreciate that. What a cracking race this has been. We're on lap 26, ladies and gentlemen. About to start 27, and there we have it as Go to Fight Rat and Dig Surf follow one another through into turn 1. Captain Miner now in the rear of Sidewinder, quite tight, less than 3/10 is the gap as we come through the penultimate and now final turn of this run into turn 1. Here we go, DRS and battery in utilization, and there just is nothing that Sidewinder can do about the speed coming out of that Mercedes right now.
Yeah, just DRS so strong here, and that's what I was saying a few laps ago. You need to really pick your moment, pick when you overtake those cars in front of you and to make sure that you're the one ahead when you cross that timing line for the final time.
Of course,
Oh,
if
Dig
you
Serpent is still pulling away from Word Dad, so should be okay with fuel. But still, that fuel light is on. I'm pretty worried. If I'm in that Alpha Romeo camp, I want to make sure that I convert this one to be saying, just save the fuel. Save the fuel. You have 7 seconds behind you, Striff. Just save the fuel. Make sure you make it to the end of this race.
Duffel, the 27.257 now taking that fastest lap outside of the top 10. And of course, if you haven't already voted, we have the driver of the day poll going. The straw poll link is in the chat, and you can let us know who had your attention for driver of the day today. Greatly appreciate anyone who joins the vote for that, and the drivers definitely do, of course, as well.
There's 2 laps left now in this race, and Dixer still has that fuel indicator on. I don't think he's lifting and coasting enough to be able to make it to the end of this race. So my game has just crashed, Drift. So
mine has as well.
Oh no!
I hate to say it. So a simultaneous game crash for both Mikau and I there, and I hope that no other drivers had that issue. Look to get back into that session as quickly as humanly possible. But that was a very unfortunate crash to my game. And yikes. Hopefully we'll get back in there quickly.
Getting in there as fast as I can, Striff, because we don't want to miss the final.
Yeah, I'd like to see that lap as well.
Because that's when, final lap is where everything just hits the fan. That's when everyone just leaves it all out there on the track, nothing left in the tank. There we go. I'm getting myself in now, just so we have at least a radio cast for this one. I see you've joined the session as well. They should be on the final lap of the race now. If things go according to plan, it should be Goated Rat still in the lead of things, ahead of Dig Surf, and I think Word Dad and I believe it was the McLaren of Jimsy from memory. Going to be fighting out for that final podium place. And here we go. Yes, it is lap 29 of 29 here in Bahrain, ladies and gentlemen. And looks like we're just in the nick of time, Striff.
We are, and it's Goatified Rat Dig Surf. You can see he's in very close proximity. It's a fight between the 2 Alfa Romeos. Jimsy too far to do anything about it. Word Ad, however, hunting him down for 3rd position as he has been all race long. We are on the final lap, ladies and gentlemen, of this race. And of course, sorry for that momentary dropout, but it is back to racing action here on lap 29 of 29. Happy to see all of the drivers still here in session without any issues as we had on our end. But of course, Goatified Rat, Dig Surf, the 2 Alfa Romeos, they have been showing stellar all race long. And the checkered flag has now been drawn as Jack 5.
Oh no, one of the Ferraris!
Oh no.
Graz is in the wall!
That is very bad.
No damage on that front wing for Graz, but that does mean he's going to be out of the points, and Johnny Disco will take the final points position if he's able to hold it. But here we go. Oh no, Dig Surf's out of fuel. I think he should still have the gap that he needs. It will be an Alfa Romeo 1-2. Goatified Rat ahead of Dig Surf, and Jimsy will take the final podium place.
What a race this has been, and a very interesting finale here. Goatified Rat, Dig Surf, a 1-2 for the Alfa Romeos. Jimsy in 3rd. What a race from him. Word Ad in 4th, Sidewinder in 5th, and we have Captain Miner in 6th.
Johnny's Disco's got a puncture! Johnny's got a puncture in the last corner!
Oh, that is horrible news for him.
He's going to be out of the points with the penalty. And there we go. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Gauzier out of fuel as well. Hennes is going to pass the Haas on the way to the line. Hopefully he's able to get a 1 liter fuel sample.
That was an unbelievable race in the end, I have to say. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope everybody in the chat and viewing enjoyed it. We're going to have interviews, of course, in a moment with the podium finishers, and those cars without fuel are literally stopped dead on circuit. So that was something to see there at the end. But it is going to be Godified Rat and Dig Surf, of course, the top two here in the Alfa Romeos, and what drives from them. And it's a very, very intense round one for this Tier 2 Americas division. I cannot wait until next week to see how the next chapter unfolds. But of course, tomorrow we have the Tier 3 division and the Americas Tier 1 division. But of course, Mikhail, take us through this classification. What a race. What a race.
Big Godified Rat from 4th on the grid, taking the first win of MRL season number 5 in America's Tier 2, and he will lead his teammate Dig Surf across the line for an Alfa Romeo 1-2. Jimsy rounds off the podium there for McLaren, up from 7th place on the grid, and it'll be word that from 5th to 4th for Williams. Sidewinder, the Red Bull, 8th to 5th. And a very nice effort from him. Captain Miner doing the alternate strategy, starting on those mediums, going to softs, able to get a 6th place at the end from 15th on the grid. Amazing effort there from the Mercedes driver. Thrills 10th to 7th for Ferrari. Paula Brady, she's able to go from 11th to 8th for the Alpha Tauris. Vlad down from pole position to 9th place, and Graz will take the final points place after Johnny Disco got a puncture in the final sector. And Johnny Disco, 11th place for McLaren. And very unfortunate for those outside of the points, especially Hennes. I mean, he had the pace to really fight for the win, but in the end, just one big mistake is all it takes to completely derail your race, Striff.
Yeah, it is all it takes. One mistake and things can go from the best equation to the worst equation in a matter of second. And of course, we're gonna have interviews in just a second. I would like to say, however, before we jump into interviews, congratulations to Paula Brady. She has won driver of the day for the first round of the Tier 2 division in the Americas with 24% of the vote. And I have to say, there was a very split vote for this race. A lot of drivers getting votes. We had a total of 29 of you vote in this one, and we greatly appreciate that. Paula Brady winning with 7 votes, the most of any driver. So thank you to everyone who contributed to that vote, and we'll be looking forward to doing those more often as the race season unfolds. Now, I don't know who will be available for interview, but I do know for certain we have our race winner. So we can start with him, and I will drag him in now. Joining us for an interview, joining us in the commentary booth, it is Mr. Godified Rat. And, well, what a race, what a thrilling campaign for the Alfa Romeos. How are you feeling after Tier 2 Americas? A race win in the books. Hello?
Seems to be having some mic issues.
I see.
I can't hear him, sir.
Either. If Codified, if you're there, we can't hear you, my friend. Having some microphone issues there. We'll see if we can hear from Godified Rat in a moment, but just to talk about that race for a minute, it was a very, very dynamic campaign of tons of different strategy, because when you think about it, we did not have a safety car through this campaign, Mikhail. We saw so many overtakes, we saw so much strategical changing through this race, and its Bahrain tire degradation definitely played a role.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we saw Godified Rat split the strategy with his teammate. Opting to go that 1 lap extra to put on the mediums to the soft medium, which was deemed impossible in the last game. Of course, only a couple of drivers. My mind goes back to Mr. Jack Sparrow. He was able to do that one. But yeah, also with the fuel as well, we had no safety cars whatsoever. So very, very interesting.
Hello?
Hello?
Oh, there we go.
There we go. We have audio. Welcome, Godified Rat. Congratulations on a fantastic drive today and, well, a race win. How you feeling?
Feeling pretty good. Teammate played a big part with that, to be honest. I mean, when I went to the mediums, he undercutted me, of course, and he let me behind the main straight, which really helped me. And of course, the people I caught on the back markers, they they really helped me pull the way. But yeah, satisfied with that result, and yeah.
Was there any communication between you and your teammate leading into the race or through the race? You mentioned there, you were thankful he let you by. I'm thinking based on that, there wasn't a lot, or was there? How was this race for you two?
Well, we didn't communicate throughout the race. We weren't in Discord or anything, but we did plan a little bit before the race. Like we did some practice runs, quality runs, just the two of us. So we already know kind of what we're doing before we even like started. So that helped. And of course the team play, him letting me by and stuff, and him pulling me along with the DRS helped as well.
One thing I wanted to ask you, Dig Surf, he went under fuel in this race. Was there an expectation for safety car for the both of you, or just maybe for his strategy playing it safe there, or was that just something he decided to do on his own? Because he ran out of fuel at the end and you didn't.
We talked about it before the race in the chat, but basically I just prepared that for if there wasn't a safety car, so I just went plus 0.5, and we all assumed, everybody else just assumes that there was going to be a safety car, but there ended up not. So I played it safe, and he went with more. He gambled under feeling, and yeah.
Well, how does this race set you up for next week in the Netherlands? Because now the Netherlands, a very different circuit, a very, well, it's a massively different circuit characteristically. How does this race set you up confidence-wise for the Netherlands, and how are you expecting to do there?
Well, of course, getting the first place increases my confidence majorly, but I'm not expecting to win next week. I mean, Zandvoort isn't really one of my better tracks, but we'll see.
Mikhail, do you have any questions for Go to Fight Rat, our race winner this evening, before we wrap things up?
No, I think covered all bases. Just congratulations on taking the first win of the season, and all the best heading into Zandvoort. It's quite an important race, quite difficult to overtake aside from that turn one, so it's going to be very important to get a solid qualifying and also keep those tire temperatures under wraps. But congratulations once again, Go to Fight Rat. Well deserved and well driven throughout the entire 29 laps of that race.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much, Go to Fight, and again, congratulations on the win.
Yeah.
There we go. That was Go to Fight Rat, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, now that will be the end to our America's Tier 2 coverage. I'd like to say massive thanks to Mikhail for joining me on this evening's broadcast. Mikhail coming from Australia to join me for this one. Filling in for one of our other we have a couple of other commentators that we rotate Americas, and Mikhail just happened to come through. So thank you for that, Mick.
That's all right. Couldn't let you do Bahrain solo now, could I?
No, it's well, in retrospect, it's definitely good to have you here, because that was a very fun and exciting race, of course. And now tomorrow, we've got more Bahrain for you. We're going to be having 2 more races, and you can join me at 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, which is 8 p.m. for those of you in the UK, or 9 in Central Europe, because we will be back here on the Misfits Racing League Twitch channel for the Tier 3 Racing Division, and it is looking very, very spicy if Tier 4 and this division are anything to go by. And then, of course, following that, just about 4.5 hours after that wraps up, we're going to have the America's Tier 1 division, which I know for a fact is going to be extraordinarily tight and intense. And I'll be here for that once again. So we'll see you for that. And we're going to raid someone as we always do, and we hope you enjoy the new outro, because I worked very hard on it. And of course, we'll see you in the next one. Have a great night, everybody.